solve for theta in the interval 0 to 2 pi. 5 cos theta equals 4. So to solve this, we want to get cos theta by itself. So divide both sides by 5. So cos theta equals 4/5. And then we want to shift cos, arc cos, to get theta by itself. We need to make sure our calculator is in radians. This one already is, but if it's not, we go to the setup, angle unit, and make sure it's in radians. Then we want to shift cos, our 4/5. And the calculator will give us our first answer, which is 0.644. So theta equals 0.644 radians. When we were working with degrees, to get our second answer for cos, we did 360 minus the first answer. The equivalent for that in radians is 2 pi minus the first answer. So 2 pi minus answer is 5.64. 5.64 radians. And we're only going to have two answers in the interval 0 to 2 pi. So that is it. The second one, 4 sine theta equals 3. Divide both sides by 4. So sine theta equals 3/4. Shift sine 3/4. 0.848. That's our first answer. The second answer for sine is, in degrees, 180 minus the first answer. So in radians, that's pi minus the first answer. And that is 2.29. Two for you to try. Give them a go. So we're solving in the interval 0 to 2 pi. That's the equivalent of 0 to 360. Tan theta equals 2. So shift tan 2. And we get our first answer of 1.11. The tan graph repeats every 180 degrees or every pi radians. So to get a second answer, add pi onto the first one, and we get 4.25. The next one, 3 cos theta equals -1. So divide both sides by 3. Cos theta equals -1/3. Shift cos minus 1/3. We get 1.91. So theta is 1.91. For the second answer in cos, 2 pi minus the first answer, which is 4.37. I'll quickly say the reason why that works. So we've got the cos graph, which in the first 2 pi radians is shaped like this. And we can see it's symmetrical about this line here, which was 180 degrees in degrees, but that is pi radians. So the gap between 0, so we had -1/3, so we've got two answers here and here. The gap between 0 and our first answer is the same as the gap between 2 pi and our second answer because of the line of symmetry. So because there's a line of symmetry, to get the second answer, we do 2 pi minus the first answer. And the same works with sine, because the line of symmetry for sine is at 90 degrees or pi radians. And another question, solve for theta in the interval -2 pi to 2 pi. 3 tan theta plus 1 equals 8. So So I'm going to take 1 away from both sides. 3 tan theta equals 7. I then divide both sides by 3. So tan theta equals 7/3. So shift tan 7/3 will give us our first answer, which is 1.17. Our tan graph repeats every pi radians. So our tan graph looks like this. It's exactly the same every pi radians. So to get the next answer, when we have a tan, we just add pi on or take pi off of our first answer. So if I add a pi, I'll get 4.31. Then I also want to take pi away. So my first answer, take away pi, is negative 1.98. And then I can even take another pi away, 5.12, negative 5.12. So I've got 4 answers between negative 2 pi and 2 pi. The second one, 5 sine theta plus 3 equals 1. So take 3 away and divide by 5. So sine theta equals negative 2/5. So shift sine negative 2/5, negative 4.12, negative 0.412, negative 0.412. That's my first answer. Save that as A. I can do pi minus that. Pi minus the first answer, which will give me a second answer of 3.55. And then to get the next answers, to generate the next set of answers for sine or cos, we add on or take away 2 pi. So to stay within the range, negative 2 pi to 2 pi, I'm going to add 2 pi onto my negative answer and take 2 pi away from my positive answer. So if I take 2 pi away, I get negative 2.73. And I want my first answer plus 2 pi, which is 5.87. So I've got 4 answers in the interval negative 2 pi to 2 pi. And I'm using the fact that the graph repeats every 2 pi radians to get my next 2 answers. After my first 2 answers, I can keep getting answers forever and ever by adding on 2 pi, adding on 2 pi, adding on 2 pi, or taking away 2 pi from my first 2 answers. 2 for you to try. Give them a go. So to get cos theta by itself, divide by 4. And then we're going to shift cos 1/4. So my first answer, 1.32 radians. To get the second answer, we're going to do 2 pi take away the first answer, which is 4.97 radians. Let's store those as A and B. And then we want to do a, which was our first answer, take away 2 pi, which is negative 4.97. And if we do our second answer, which was b, take away 2 pi, we're going to get negative 1.32. The reason that these are positive and negative versions of themselves is again because the cos graph is symmetrical not only about 180, about 0 as well. So the same distance from 0 on both sides. And part B, so plus 1 divided by 5. Sine theta is 4/5. Shift sine 4/5. 0.927. That's our first answer. I'll save that as A. And then we want to do pi, take away the first answer, which is 2.21. And then for both of these, if we take 2 pi away from them, we'll generate another answer. So take away 2 pi, negative 4.07. And the first answer, take away 2 pi, is negative 5.36. So there are 4 answers in the interval negative 2 pi to 2 pi. Solve for theta in the interval 0 to 2 pi. Sine 2 theta this time equals 0.2. So we shift sine and we get 2 theta by itself. So shift sine 0.2, which is 0.201. And that's our first answer. So save that as A. The second answer, pi take away the first answer, 2.94. But because we're going to half these answers, we need to go twice as far. So we need to go up to 4 pi, because when we half them, they're going to go back below 2 pi. We want to generate 2 more answers. So we'll save that as B. And B plus 2 pi is 9.22. Let's save that one as well as D. And we'll have A, which was our first answer, plus 2 pi, 6.48. And store that one as C. So we've got A, B, C, and D, these answers. We need to half them all for theta. So we've got A over 2, which is 0.101. B over 2, which is 1.47. We've got C over 2, which is 3.24. And D over 2, which is 4.61. So there are 4 answers. The next one, cos 3 theta equals negative 0.4. So because it's 3 theta, we're going to have to go 3 times as far. Shift cos negative 0.4, which is 1.98. Save as A. So 3 theta is 1.98. The second answer is 2 pi minus the first answer, 4.30. Store as B. So we've got our first two answers. To generate more, we keep adding 2 pi. So 8.27. Store that one as C. And add another 2 pi onto that one. 14.5. I'll store as D. Then I've got my second answer, plus 2 pi, which was 10.6. So store as E. And then plus another 2 pi. 16.9. And I can even store that as F. So I've got 6 answers there. That's 3 theta. So I want 1 theta. So I'm going to divide them all by 3. So A divided by 3, 0.661. B divided by 3, 1.43. C over 3, 2.76. D over 3, 4.85. E over 3, 3.53. And finally, F over 3, 5.62. All in radians. Okay, 2 for you to try. Give them a go. So we're going to shift tan negative 2 and get negative 1.11. We don't want that answer, so we're not interested in that one. But we do want to generate the next 4 answers, all the way up to 4 pi. So keep adding on pi to this. So plus pi, 2.03. And we'll store that as A. Then plus a pi onto that, 5.18. And store that as B, plus a pi onto that, 8.32. That can be C, and plus a pi onto that one again, 11.5. And that can be D. So we've got 4 answers. We're not interested in the negative one, because we want our answers between 0 and 2 pi. So half all of these ones. So 1.02. $2.59, $4.16, and 5.73. And the next one, so shift sign 0.7, which is 0.775. Store as A. Pi minus the first answer is 2.37. Store as B. And the first answer plus 2 pi is 7.06. Store C. And then plus 2 pi again. We want to go 3 times as far because we're going to divide the answers by 3. 13.3. Store D. And then our second answer, which was B, 2.37 plus 2 pi gets us to 8.65. Store as E plus 2 pi again, 14.9. Store as F. So theta, we're going to divide all of these answers by 3. So the first one divided by 3 is 0.258. The second one divided by 3 is 0.789. Then we have 2.35. $4.45, 2.88, and finally 4.98.